Hello, Bob Eaton here again. This is another installment of a video about one of the chapters in my book titled Check Your Drawers and Other Timely Advice for Managers. This particular chapter is called What is Your Gatekeeper Costing You? And this chapter is about the fact that most business owners, most small business owners in particular, have someone who is unofficially appointed to and in some cases officially appointed to run interference and prevent people from having access to the business owner and the manager, the person who's running the whole company. And so, I've seen a lot of guys who are proud of the fact that their gatekeeper is so efficient and running people off and keeping them from having access to the business owner. And so, I just want to say that that's not a very wise practice. And did you know that by letting this person have the authority, ability, the access to be the person to say, we're not interested, to a sales rep, for example, that you're in essence, you have made this gatekeeper your de facto purchasing agent. To give you an example of that, we when I was managing with Expert Tune, I was at corporate at the time as a regional manager slash HR manager, and we had a sales rep come in and call on us about coffee. And we provided coffee in all the lobbies to all of our stores to our customers. And trying to keep fresh coffee all day is a pretty tough thing. And so this guy came in, and this was back several years ago, and this was the trend was that everybody still had traditional coffee pots, and you had to make fresh coffee like 4 or 5 times a day just to keep it from getting hot on that little burner and stinking up the place and getting tasting bad and everything. So it's kind of ironic that you don't want to have a wonderful, beautiful, clean facility with excellent technicians who are doing fantastic work, and yet the coffee's bad, and the people remember how bad the coffee was. So anyway, I'm diverting a little bit, but the point is, we had a coffee sales rep come in from the company, and he made a proposal, and we explored that proposal and tried it out, and we ended up saving over $20,000 a year just on the coffee that we used in the lobbies of 20 stores. 25 stores. 20,000 bucks is a lot of savings for 25 stores worth of coffee. So the gatekeeper in that case did not prevent that person from getting in to see the person in charge. And that's what I want to stress to you is that there are opportunities. I called on a car dealer for professional employer services, or PEO, and got to see the owner and got his documentation to do the underwriting, got a proposal ready, and the proposal came down that we were going to, it wasn't going to cost him anything, that he was actually going to be $80,000 to the good per year on his $3 million payroll, that he was literally going to be spending $80,000 a year less than he was spending now on his payroll process and benefits and so forth, because we were able to pool his rates and give him discounts on unemployment and workers' comp. And so, but his office manager, his gatekeeper, she, what shall we say, poo-pooed the idea and really didn't want us in there and turned us away. And so here's a guy that had the opportunity to save, 80,000 bucks a year. 10 years later, that would have been $800,000. That's a pretty good little chunk of change. That'd be a nice thing to have. If he had invested that money over the 10-year period, it probably would have doubled. So that'd be $1.6 million. That's a pretty good return on making a smart decision to outsource. Another thing that you're doing with your gatekeeper by giving them the power to just turn people away and make the decision whether or not you're interested or whether or not somebody is worthy of your attention and your time, is that you're also making them your de facto recruiter or HR person, in that they can blow somebody out the door who is extremely qualified. You'd be lucky to have them, great employee, and so you're giving this person the chance to cut you off from opportunities with employees, opportunities with vendors, and you know what else they're cutting you off from? Can you name of an industry that isn't changing? There was a guy that owned the Pepsi-Cola franchise for the Birmingham, Alabama area, and I believe it's Pepsi-Cola. I can't remember his name, so if I try, I'll get it wrong. But he had a saying. He said, "If you're doing business the same way you were 6 months ago, you got problems. If you're doing business the same way you were 2 years ago, you're in trouble." And I thought that was really smart. And this gentleman was very big, very, very, very big in business. Owned many states of Pepsi-Cola and had the Fritos franchise. And Bear Bryant was his advertising guy that did commercials and represented his product for the Alabama football team. So point is that this guy thought it was a good idea to keep up with the changes in the industry. Well, your gatekeeper, by letting her, shove people out the door and say he's not in, or he's too busy to talk to you, without giving them a time to say, come in on Wednesday mornings. That's a good time to catch him. Uh, if you give that person the power and authority and the discretion to run people off like that, then you're in essence giving them power over your ability to know that, hey, there's a new widget out there that everybody in your industry is buying and utilizing, that's saving your industry a certain percentage of sales, which goes straight to the bottom line. And all these other people are finding out about it, but you're not, because you've got this gatekeeper who's so proud of the job they're doing, to keeping people away from you, and you're thinking that they're doing you a big favor. In reality, what you should do is design a process that controls people's access to you and yet allows them to have access to you. And when I was in management, I always had a policy that I only saw sales reps on Wednesday mornings between 8 and 12, because that was our slow day of the week. And what that did was that allowed me to meet with people, to hear what they had to say, and consider that in my mind, and not just blow it off and not know about it. And so, that's how we found out about the coffee situation. You don't know how many opportunities that your competitors are using that you are now aware of, but maybe you didn't find out for 6 months to a year later than you should have, because your gatekeeper kept you away from it. So your industry is changing, and you're letting your gatekeeper be the de facto person that's determining how much you know about the latest trends in your industry. You're letting them be the de facto recruiter in determining who gets access to you about a good job, especially management. Management people generally will try to come in with a resume and ask to speak to you. They're not going to want to send it in the mail or whatever. A good management person is going to want to have eye-to-eye contact with you and say, look, let's talk about my qualifications and how I can be a good benefit to your company. Purchasing, they're cutting you off. They're cutting you off from access to knowledge about good deals. This is not a good thing. It's bad business practice. So if you're doing that and you're strutting yourself around there and thinking, man, I'm a tough guy and I'm a tough negotiator and I've got this tough lady or this tough guy who's you got to go through to get to me, and if they're not interested, whatever, I think you ought to rethink that. I think you ought to take a little time and consider, is that really the best thing to do? Am I so successful, my business so big, that I don't need to know about new products and developments in the industry, and management candidates in particular who are coming around that may be a wonderful addition to your company? I hope you consider this. I hope you buy the book. I hope you read the chapter. It's nice talking about it, and I appreciate your time watching. Thank you.